Yes, I think yes. Let's start.
Okay, great. So let's start. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're very happy that you joined our 8th meeting. I can see faces, familiar faces from previous times. I will ask you to stay muted the entire Zoom session. We will have time for questions in the end of the session. We would also appreciate if you can write your name and email in the chat box now. Please also write if you are an incoming tour guide, outgoing tour guide, or both, so we can contact you regarding a very special after Corona project we're working on. All the meetings are recorded, so if you missed something, you can ask for it and we'll be happy to send it over to you. So we're GetGuide, and GetGuide, it's a platform that connects between tour guides and tour leaders and tour operators. It's also create international social network of tour guides all over the world. If you want more information about the platform, please write it in the chat in private or to all or after the session, and we will be happy to come back to you with more details within a few days. Speaking of international network, today we invited participants from Israel mainly, but also from Germany, Greece, Australia, Uzbekistan, Russia. From Spain, I want to greet Almudena, the chairman of the Spanish Tour Guides Association that joined. And of course, we have people from Morocco, participants from Morocco. I would like to start with introducing you to the management of the company of GetGuide. So Jonathan Jonathan is the founder and CEO and a very experienced incoming tour guide. Hi again.
Hi, everyone.
But yeah, everybody can see you now because you're in spotlight. Great. Yossi Shenhav is our CEO and a very experienced tour guide for both incoming and outgoing. Yossi.
Good evening. Good evening.
I want it in 4 languages. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just want to say good evening to all our friends that join us, like you said, from many places all over the world, and especially also to our presenters today, to Leslie, good evening, to Saeed, Masai al-Khair, and to Abdul, Masai al-Nur, and shout out to Asaria. I'm looking forward, Dina, to hear your breaking news as well.
Okay.
In our conversation.
Okay. Okay. We also in our management team is Nomi. Nomi is not here with us today. She doesn't feel very well, but she was the general manager of the School of Tourism for many years. She's also an experienced outgoing tour guide and a management team member of the Israeli Tour Guide Forum. I'm Dina Lahav. I'm the CEO of Academy Travel, which is a tour operator and a travel agent, and also the GetGuide outgoing department manager. So if you know how to be a guide and you have your followers to travel with, but you need some professional help with the operational side of things, you're welcome to contact me directly. Today we also host, Jonathan, if you can just share the screen. Okay, so today we also host Dan Hirstein. Dan helped us organize this event. And, oh my God, thank you so much. Just give me a minute. I lost my screen. Okay, so Dan helped us organize this event and is organizing and traveling with groups in and out Morocco for many, many years now, much before the Israeli-Morocco normalization. So Danny, how many years you've been organizing travel back and forth? Danny? Can you unmute?
Now do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So good evening to everyone. As you told Dina, I'm traveling to Morocco for 25 years. And every year about 65, 75 days in Morocco. It's been at least 4 times, 5 times in a month. And yes, it's one of the most beautiful countries that I know. And I guide also in France, in Spain, in Ethiopia. But I think Morocco is one of the most beautiful, interesting place to visit. And you will see it in the picture in a few minutes. And I'm working now with Yossi for a few groups to Morocco, and we hope that after the Corona we will start to travel directly from Tel Aviv to Casablanca or to Rabat. We don't know, and Yossi will be the guide of this group. So
thank you, Danny.
See you soon.
Yes, see you there. So the objectives of these Zoom meetings are to open more options and horizons to tour guides that are interested in expanding their options and potential cooperation to other destinations. Also, this is a great opportunity, if you can just mute yourself, please. Also, this is a great opportunity to build an international network of tour guides and tour operators. I would also like to take this opportunity and let you know that in our next sessions, Jonathan, can you mute everyone, please? Yeah.
I tried, yeah.
Okay. I would also like to take this opportunity to let you know that in our next 2 sessions, we're going to open a window to Poland and to north of Greece. So if it's really what we will recommend is that you will follow GetGuide on Facebook, so you are updated with all future events. I actually put the link to our Facebook group in the chat box, or you're welcome to just click and join. So today we're opening a window to Morocco. I visited Morocco at the end of 2019. And apart from the beautiful, interesting, colorful country, I fell in love with the authenticity of the place and mostly with the coexistence and feeling of safety being both an Israeli and Jewish. There is a special connection between Arabs and Israeli in this place that I never encountered before, and made me at least fall in love with this country. So I'm very happy to say bonjour and ahlan sahlan to our special guests. We have Leslie Sanchez, the CEO of Complete Tours in Morocco. Yeah, sorry. Abdul Foroso, a tour guide from Fez, and Said Mekawi, a tour guide from Marrakesh. All of them will take us for a tour in Morocco. The presentation will take approximately 40-45 minutes, after which we will have time for questions. So feel free to write your questions in the chat box too if you want, and then we will go over it in the end, or you can just ask them yourself in the end of the session. So Leslie, how are you this evening? Would you like to start?
I'm fine. I'm raring to go. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to start by saying that this is my adopted country. I'm British, moved to Morocco 39 years ago, and I'm hoping that I'll encourage some of you to love Morocco as much as I do. So I think we're going to start by looking at a map, which Danny, I think, has put together for us so we can have a look at Morocco. Very long country, the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. We're very lucky to have 2 coastlines. But the great thing about Morocco is the contrast, the mountains, the sea, the deserts, and the beautiful culture of the cities. And we're going to try over the next 40 minutes to entice you to come to Morocco and to experience it for yourselves and want to present it to the people that are with you on your coaches. We're going to start with Casablanca, which is probably the city that most people know, the home of the famous film, although there is a sorry, it is distracting. Although there is still a Rick's Cafe there, it's not the actual one, but it's very popular. Here we have the Hassan II Mosque, probably the highlight of a tour to Casablanca. It was built by the late King Hassan II, the father of the present King Mohammed VI, and is used for daily worship. We can visit, you can take your guests. There are set visiting times with a set guide, and the visit is absolutely magnificent. Then it takes us on to other parts of Casablanca. The imperial city, of course, is Rabat, but the commercial capital is Casablanca. This is where it all happens. It's the main port for shipping, the main airport for flights, and the main plant for the consulates and the various industries. This is the industrial and commercial capital of Morocco. But there is also still, although we only have 2,500 Moroccan Jews still living in Morocco, there is still operational synagogues. His Majesty Mohammed VI has recently renovated a lot of the synagogues. This one here is the main synagogue, the Bet El Hillel synagogue in the center of Casablanca, where you have an opportunity to take your guests and so they can actually experience what it's like to be a Sephardic Jew in Morocco. I think we're passing on to Abdu after that, and obviously you'll have questions later on Casablanca.
Okay. Abdul? You will need to mute yourself.
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Loud and clear.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're continuing north to Rabat. And Rabat is the capital of Moroccan kingdom since the French times. When the French took over in 1912, they made Rabat the capital. It's mainly known as the administrative capital. So the main government headquarters, the royal palace, the parliament are located there. It has long history as well, started with the Romans as a settlement. And basically, it's the second largest and main city in the country. And it is one of the most, interesting cities because it's also imperial. Because in Morocco, we have 4 imperial cities. Number 1 is Fez, Rabat, number 2, Marrakesh, and Meknes. And it has a very interesting Medina as well. Medina means old city, Ha'ira, Atika. And also it's known for many beautiful buildings like this one on the picture, which is the mausoleum of Muhammad V and Hassan II. They are both the 2 main kings that ruled the country during the French times and after. So Muhammad V is the grandfather of the current king, whose tomb is in the middle, and Hassan II was buried there as well. Muhammad Khamishi, Hassan Ashini, the main 2 kings of Morocco. And the other main sites of Rabat is mainly Kasbah, Udaya. This is a picture of the mausoleum from the outside. It's also the main city for the royal palace of Rabat, where the king actually lives most of the time and rules the country. This palace is not that old. It's only from the 18th century. And it's also known for embassies. It's the main diplomatic headquarters are located there. And also it has the main government buildings. This is also a view of the Kasbah Udaya. It's one of the oldest settlements in Rabat from the 12th century, overlooking the Atlantic. So the city is located on the Atlantic side, just north of Casablanca, about an hour and a half drive from Casablanca. The picture of the Udaya inside with this blue color. So inside it's all known for the bluish color that represents also the Jewish identity, because many Jews were living here and they came from Spain. Andalusians, like Moorish people or Moriscos, and also a big Jewish community, they sought refuge in Morocco, and they settled, or some of them settled in Rabat. In this Udaya Kasbah, and also in the Malah, the Jewish quarter, which is in the Medina, and it's still standing there. So basically, now we're heading north. So from Rabat, we go north to the Rif Mountains. Morocco is very famous for its beautiful mountains. We have three main chains of mountains: the Rif Mountains in the north, Middle Atlas in the middle, and the High Atlas in the south, with anti-Atlas mountains further south. But this, like this city, Chefchaouen, it's called Chefchaouen. Chefchaouen, or Chaouen, which is derived from a Berber term meaning horns, because the city is built under the, or at the foot of the two big peaks, just like horns. That's why it takes its name from them. It's bluish, actually. The blue color is very relevant to the Jewish community. Because they say that when the Jews came there, when they were expelled from Spain, they migrated in big groups and big communities to Morocco. And they lived in different places. And these are mainly Megorashim. So they were like immigrants. Because in Morocco, we talk about Tushavim and Megorashim. But this is mainly for Megorashim, who came after the Inquisition from Spain. And they lived there, like in Chefchaouen and other many places. And the main characteristic of the city is the blue. When you walk around inside the Medina, the old place, which dates back from the 15th century, you can see beautiful, lush and vivid blue that characterizes the city and attracts you and makes you feel like very warm and very safe as well. It's a very peaceful place with numerous alleys and streets. Walking there is very, very safe. People are very hospitable and nice. And it has many beautiful places to go to, like natural parks around the city, and beautiful like waterfalls as well. Walking itself, I mean, in the Medina is like an adventure. During the day, you can walk at any time. Safety is the main thing about the city, and the beauty of it is in its color. Again, the color is associated with tolerance and peace between Jews and Muslims in this place and many other places in Morocco. So Chefchaouen or Chaouen are the two names. Now we're driving down to Fez, and Fez stands in between the Middle Atlas and the Rif Mountains. So it's located in the northern part of the country. This is one of the main gates of the old Medina. The Medina of Fez is like a big place to live. About 350,000 people still live there inside the old place with many gates, about 15 gates. This is one of them. It's called the Blue Gate. And blue here is different. It's what we call Fez blue. It's the main color of the city. So this is one of the main entrances. And you walk from this main gate, as you can see in the middle, very like 400 meters. Behind it, you find the Habayt Shel Rambam, the house of Maimonides. He used to live here when he came from Spain. As you walk through the maze of alleys and streets, which count more than 9,200 of them, you can reach the tanneries. As you can see here, these are the tanneries with the view up on top of them. It smells very strong, of course, because it's leather, it's leather work. People working there still using the same primitive techniques and means. And of course, it's one of the main highlights because here they produce lots of leather stuff. It's like clothing, jackets, bags, and so on and so forth. So it's all still made in the same place. And this is also considered as UNESCO. It's protected by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. The whole Medina of Fez is a World Heritage Site since 1981. So it's a must, I mean, to see, to visit. You walk in the Medina, you find some of the most colorful markets where still you find things made by hand. Colors, overwhelming colors, babouches like slippers all over the place, fabrics made from agave silk, agava, as you can see, say it also in Hebrew, and traditional dresses. Many people still wear or choose the traditional dress outside, like jalabas, which is like a long robe with the hood in the back to wear it outside, and also a variety of garments and clothing which women and men wear inside the house, like what you see here, different colorful dresses made by hand, a combination of silk, silver, and gold threads. Many of Moroccan dresses are also known as kaftan, which are still used in like celebrations and also in wedding parties, khatuna. So many Moroccan Jews, they still have the same tradition and they keep it. Now we come in, we talk about Fez, of course, we talk about food. It's the place of what we call the art of culinary or gastronomy. And here is a picture of donuts. Shfinj, okay, b'Marocaite. It's one of the delicacies. It's a specialty of Fez and also Morocco. Donuts, usually people eat them in the morning, early in the morning. You can buy them. They are tasty, and they usually go with tea. It's one of the most famous like breakfasts of Fez. Coming to the main dish, it's what we call couscous. So couscous is very famous in Morocco. Wherever you go, you eat couscous, and it's one of the main national dishes that most Moroccans mainly eat on Friday, Yom Shishi, which is like the holy day for a Muslim community. So it's like it's a symbol of gathering and festivity. Couscous is semolina, which is boiled, and then they mix it with chickpeas and varieties of vegetables and meat or chicken. So this is also very, and now we're coming to the main delicacy, which is called pastilla. Pastilla is like a crunchy pie of pigeon or chicken and almonds, cinnamon, and onions, mixture of spices. And on top of it, you find like what we call sugar powder and cinnamon. It's very tasty, and it's one of the main delicacies of Fez. This is a specialty of Fez as well. And of course, we come into the main drink, tea. So tea in Morocco varies from one place to another. The preparation of tea is itself like a ceremony. The inviting people to tea, it's like a feast. And the big show is when you pour the tea from the highest point into the glass. So from the teapot to the glass, that's the big show. And it shows your skill and your hospitality that you show into your guests. So everyone chooses to drink tea to have like hospitality and have good time with friends and guests.
Great. Thank you, Abdul.
You're welcome.
We'll go to the desert now, I think, Leslie.
Yes. Well, that was great. Thanks, Abdul. I think what we need to talk about also, not just the scenery, but the people. We have, within Morocco, we don't just have Arabs. About a third of the population are Arab, but the other 2/3 are actually Berbers. And the Berbers, amongst the Berbers, there are 3 different tribes. You've got the Rif Mountains up in the north, around the Tangier area, Tetuan, and that is the Rif. Then you have the Middle Atlas as you come down the country towards Marrakesh. We have the area of Azilal and Demnet, which is in the Middle Atlas, and they are called the Zayen. And then you come to the Marrakesh, Agadir, the coastal area, and the very south of Morocco, where we have the Tashelhit. And the strange thing is about those 3 tribes of Berbers, if you like, is that none of them understand each other. They speak 3 different languages. So you've got 3 different Berber languages, plus you have the Darija of Morocco, which is spoken by the Arabs of Morocco. And of course, the Berbers as well speak Darija. The reason I've mentioned this is that one of the things that attracted me to Morocco and has made me stay as long as I have is the contrast. We talked when we looked at the map about the Atlantic Ocean, the Mediterranean, the desert, the mountains, and the one day in the whole of your tour which will show you the contrast, is when you leave Fez. You leave that imperial city behind, and within 1 hour, you're in a small town called Ifran, which is almost alpine scenery. It's absolutely incredible. It looks as if you suddenly strayed into Switzerland or into Austria. And when you leave there, you get to the Middle Atlas, an area called Midelt, where there are gorges and where during the summer, the apple orchards are producing their fruit. And then you go on again to the Ziz Valley. The Ziz Valley, as we head towards the Sahara, are the oases and the date areas. And gradually, we suddenly find ourselves in an area called Mazouga, which are the highest dunes of the Sahara Desert, all in 1 day. You don't know whether to look to right or to left because the scenery is constantly changing. And I think that one day in the whole tour, and I think Danny will probably agree with me, that 1 day actually sums up Morocco, the country of contrasts that it is. But the highlight of the whole thing is going to bed near the Sahara Desert and then getting up the next morning at sunrise, but it's worth it to see the sunrise over the dunes, the highest dunes of the Sahara Desert. Imagine this, there is a sound of silence. It is so quiet that you feel it. And this is why I was quite passionate about talking about this area of Morocco, because for me, this is really an amazing, splendid scenery. And just coming back, it's just worth it. The whole drive the day before is worth it just for this end result. And you take your camel, or if you don't want to go on four legs, you can actually just sit and watch the sun come up over the dunes, and it really is an incredible sight. We then go back to the hotel, breakfast, shower, and then we take the road and move on. These troops that you see here are called the Gnawa. If you look at the instruments that they're holding, they say that it represents the chains that they carried from slavery, because these people came from Black Africa, Central Africa, as slaves. And they, when they're doing their music, they're banging together their cymbals, and it's supposed to represent the chains that they carried all those years ago. But these are the people of the desert and the dark-skinned. As we come along, the whole of the south of Morocco is made up of kasbahs. This is really what you think Morocco is about. That's until you get to Marrakesh afterwards. But these kasbahs are made of pisé, which is the red mud mixed with water and with straw, and the actual buildings are made of this. This area here is actually an area called Ayat Ben Hadou. You probably think it looks familiar. It is. You've probably seen it on tens of Hollywood movies, Gladiator, The Mummy, various others. Even Game of Thrones recently was filmed here in the Ouarzazate area. But it's a remarkable area. What happens is that people lived in these kasbahs for security and safety. They all lived together. From the view from the top, they could see their enemies coming from miles away, and they could store all of their valuables in these areas as well. They were safe from marauders. This whole area is kasbahs, date palms, oases, and is everything that we would have imagined the desert area of Morocco to be. And eventually coming out of this area, having left behind Ouarzazate, which was an old French Foreign Legion fort, we come to the main road taking us on to Marrakesh and back to civilization of a sort. Anyway, this is the Tizen Tishka. And I think at this point, this is where we're going to hand over to our Marrakesh guide, Saeed, because this is his home. Thank you.
Saeed, you will need to unmute.
Okay. So when you arrive to Marrakesh, is it okay?
Can you come closer? Can you come closer?
Now is okay?
Not really. No, we don't hear you very well for some reason. Try again. Saeed?
Okay now?
Uh,
I hear you anyway.
yes, but maybe, do you have a microphone that you can put closer to your mouth, perhaps?
Okay.
Okay, much better. Thank
Okay.
you.
So when you arrive to Marrakesh, which is my home city, and this is, I mean, the second imperial historical city in Morocco. Now, what we are seeing is the famous square in Morocco, which is Jamal Fna Square. The square has got two facets. This is the night facet, where you can see most of the food stalls. There are acrobats where people can eat whatever you like. The square is called Jamal Fna. If we try to translate it, it means the place where people used to be hanged, or I mean chopped heads, because this is, I mean, where they used to hang, I mean, chopped heads for criminals. The square as well is famous because this is not, I mean, the very famous in front of us. This is not the famous, I mean, mosque, which is because the other mosque, which is the famous one, is the Kutubia. It's not clear here, but this is a very lower and shorter mosque tower. The square is, as I said, famous for two facets. Day one, which is, I mean, a place for entertainment where you can find, I mean, snake charmers, fortune tellers, storytellers, monkey acrobats, water sailors. You need to come and visit it so that you can feel what I am talking about. In the night, most of the people come to one of the, I mean, to cafes so that they can see the sunsets and explore the scenery, because this picture here is taken from one of the rooftop of a cafe which is called Grand Cafe, Le Grand Cafe, because you can see now this is the daytime, which unfortunately it's not, I mean, the case now, because with coronavirus you can see, and even before coronavirus, this atmosphere is starting from 5 o'clock p.m. because this is the preparation for these food stalls. And the most of the, I mean, the Moroccan food is displayed here, from spaghetti to shish kebab to chicken with lemon to couscous to tangia to everything. So if Fez is very famous with its variety of Moroccan cuisine, Marrakesh as well is very famous with its spices. And because Morocco, Marrakesh has got a very famous spice souk, which is located in this is what I'm talking about. So this is a variety of spices that are used in Moroccan cuisine. And this special picture is in one of the shops which are within the Jewish quarter, or the Mellah, because you know in every old Medina within the wall there is a Jewish quarter, the Millah, and you know that the word Millah is derived from the word Milha, which is salt, because I mean the Jews used to be, I mean, businessmen in exchanging salt with gold, historically speaking. Marrakesh as well is very famous, as all of the Morocco is very famous with Moroccan patisseries. So for the people who are coming, they must, I mean, taste this because it's very very local, and it's very very, I mean, tasty. Marrakesh as well is very famous with souks, or its alleyways, because this is part of the alleyways that you can see, where you can find different aspects of Moroccan handicrafts, because it's not only Fez. Marrakesh as well is very famous with its Moroccan handicrafts, either leather or other stuff like slippers, as my colleague this is the submarine, which is one of the most interesting alleyways within the souks, where you can find different things that are sold in small shops. This is, I mean, one of the synagogues that is in Marrakesh. And this is Marrakesh is the region of Marrakesh. What is interesting about it is outskirts as well, because this is the most beautiful valley, which is about 45 kilometers, 50 kilometers from Marrakesh, which is in the foothills of the high Atlas Mountain, which is Orica Valley. So it's very, very interesting to most and visit this, because there is as well, there is one of the very famous, places to visit, especially for the Jew, which is Shlomo Belhanj, which is one of the most interesting, saints, if we say, which is buried in this alleyway. Shlomo Belhanj.
Said, thank you very much. It was very, very colorful. And we are now going back to Leslie, I believe.
Yes, Leslie's back again. We're very fortunate. We've added an extra day to our tour. we can go and visit Essaouira. This is also the Atlas Mountains, the high Atlas. The snow-capped. We're very lucky this year. Last year we didn't have a lot of snow, but this year the snow came early. We've also had a lot of rain, which is great for when you come, because it means we're going to have some very beautiful flowers. The almond blossom will be coming out very soon, and you'll be able to see the beautiful vegetation in the Atlas Mountains. These are kilim carpets. These are the woven carpets that were there on the wall, not tufted carpets. These are kilims, which are done by the locals. But I think we're going to go on to a city called Essaouira. This is one of my favorites. The Portuguese and the Phoenicians rather liked Morocco, and they settled on the coasts. They were followed by the merchants, who of course were the Jewish population. And a lot of the fortress towns, one of which is Essaouira, were inhabited by the Jews. And so Mogador, as it's probably known in Israel, is Essaouira. And what is so wonderful about this is that you still have traces of the old Jewish inhabitants. There are still some Stars of David on the walls. Recently, His Majesty Mohammed VI has restored and has overseen the restoration of the old synagogue in Essaouira. But what it's really famous for is tuya, which is briar wood. They do the most beautiful woodwork, inlaid tables, very much less ornate than the Syrian work that you have, but beautiful brown with lovely mother of pearl inlay. They also have a very bustling fishing fleet. These are the small boats that go out. There's a small island off the coast, which was where the Romans used to get the purple dye from to make their togas, from the mother of pearl in the shells. But we have one of the highlights of the day is when you're in Essaouira to go to the old port, buy your fish and actually watch them cooking it in front of you. And whatever you leave, of course, nothing's wasted in Morocco. We have our friendly Jonathan Livingston seagulls who will come along and help you to finish it all off. But it is lovely to wander through the small souks. They're not on the scale of Fez or on the scale of Marrakesh, but they're quaint. And the thing about Essaouira, it's in a bit of a time warp. This was the home of the Rolling Stones, of Jimi Hendrix. Brian Jones from the Stones lived there for, used to spend a lot of the year there. And the town of Essaouira is in a little bit of a hippie time walk. And I think that's one of the charms of Essaouira. It's one of the things, it's not as ornately blue as Chefchaouen, but it is a little bit like the Greek islands with the white houses, with the blue surrounds and the blue doors. It's 220, 250 kilometers from Marrakesh, but it's well worth doing it. If you have an extra day on your tour, it's well worth doing it. There's some of the fish that you can actually buy by weight, and they cook it in front of you. And the slide that we had before was actually of the Portuguese fortress, which is still standing there. It's again recently been restored. It's the Scala. There is an entrance fee for that. It is a paying monument, but it's worth going to see the old cannon to see how the Portuguese actually did look after these fortress towns. There's also the town further up the coast of Safi, and then we go to El Jadida and Azmor, and all four of these cities actually have a lot of Jewish heritage behind them. We go back to Essaouira at the end of the day, back to Marrakesh, after having spent a wonderful day in a very different atmosphere. And here are some of the faces that you'll see, the many faces, the contrast again of the various headdresses, the henna tattooing that is done. These are very ornate. This is done for weddings or baptisms. And you know, in the souk, Marrakesh, Gemma Elephant Square, you'll find that there are tattoo artists who can make these lovely decoration for you with it. They do it with a syringe and with pure henna, and leave you with some beautiful tattooing. But fortunately, it's not permanent. So you can have it done, and then after 5 or 6 weeks, it actually wears off. But it's fun. It's all fun. And here we are, peace, shalom. We are very happy that we're going to be able to welcome our Israeli visitors. They came before.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, Leslie, I know that you were preparing something special for the forum.
We are, yes, we are working together on a fam trip. Those of you who already know Morocco will know there's a lot to learn, a lot to see, and a lot to show your guests, show your visitors from Israel. And we're trying to get together a tour, a fam trip, so that we can actually bring you here and teach you what there is to find, where to find it, and how to present it, and how to make everybody fall in love with Morocco, because I'm sure that you as tour leaders and tour guides will fall in love with it just as well as I did 38 years ago. But I hope that you won't stay as long as 38 years. It's I think I lost my passport. I think I lost my way home. But it's been worth every minute that I've spent here. And I hope that if you come with our fam trip, we'll be able to make you fall in love with Morocco as I did all those years ago.
Thank you very much, Leslie. That was really, really great. I just have to say that while you three of you were presenting so nicely, people were writing in the chat and also in private to us, okay, so when do we go? So the answer to when do we go is on the screen. Of course, we can do some other trips as well. If you have unprofessionals, people that want to travel, then we're definitely ready to move forward and organize some more trips. But this is a good time to ask our first question that someone wrote in the chat. And the question is, if you can just answer about what is going on with the corona right now. Is there any indications of for the future and so on? So Leslie, maybe we'll start with that. And after that, we will open the mic for questions and everybody can ask other questions from the forum.
Well, corona is quite well controlled at the moment. Morocco has handled it pretty well as can be expected. Obviously, we don't have an infrastructure here in Morocco to handle a big crisis. So they've managed to temper it and keep control of it. We're starting very soon on the vaccines. Morocco has contract with Sinopharm with the Chinese vaccine and with AstraZeneca, the Oxford vaccine. And very soon they will be rolling out the vaccine program. I don't think it'll be quite as fast as you in Israel, but I'm sure it'll be pretty fast. They're quite good on the vaccination programs. We have to wear masks in public areas. It's quite monitored in as much as tourists can come, but they need a PCR at the moment, 72 hours before, negative, obviously, and hotel bookings. So for the moment, there is a soft opening of Morocco. and it's being done very gradually so that we can cope with it as it grows.
Okay, I have another questions in the chat. First of all, what are the months that are best to visit Morocco? Okay.
Is that for me?
Yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all year round is different. Every month is slightly different, but it's lovely in the spring, say from end of February through to mid-June. Then I would say from September to around mid-November. The reason I'm saying this is that inland Morocco, which is Fez and Marrakesh, can be very, very hot in the summer. So July and August, unless you're used to the humidity of Tel Aviv, perhaps I'm sitting here listening to what I'm saying, and I know it's very hot in Tel Aviv in the summer, but 45 degrees, like in this, like walking into a hairdryer. So July and August perhaps is months to avoid, but the spring is lovely because in the mountains, the Atlas mountains, for example, the almond blossom is starting to come out, the mimosa is starting to come into bloom. It's a lovely time. And up until about the middle of June, the temperatures are very, very good. It does get very cold at night in the winter, again, inland, in areas like Fez and Marrakesh. And you can't believe how cold it can be in the desert at night in the winter as well. But I think, as I say, spring to mid-June, and then probably September to around end of November are probably the best times to visit, although you can visit all year round.
Okay, great. So now we have a question for Said. Said, can you say few words about shopping in the perspective of the tour guides?
You mean, about their commission or what?
For instance, yes.
Yes.
We are tour guides here, so.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, normally, tour guides get their commission.
Is there shopping? What does people do? They go to the markets. You take them to, like, the leather factory.
He's worried because his boss is sitting here. It's okay, Saeed. I know what you get up to. It's all right. I'll switch it off.
Tour guides get their commission wherever they go, either in Marrakesh, Fez, or Chefchaouen, wherever.
It's popular. Basically, it's a popular thing.
It's popular, yeah. But we try, but we try not, to be as, to be very soft with our guests.
Soft sell, yeah.
Soft sell, not hard sell. This is the main of it, because at the end, we would like, our guest to be happy with what he has got and not to be pressed hard or pushed to buy stuff.
But what can they buy, Saeed? Give me some examples.
Spices, because every place has got its for example, in Marrakesh there are spices. In Essaouira there is wood carving articles. Okay. In Fez there is Abdu who can speak about what they can buy in Fez and in other places like this. Argan oil as well is in Marrakesh and in Fez, in Essaouira. Yeah, Essaouira.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the main things that we can buy in these places.
I want to add something. In Marrakesh, the people, they are going by their own to the market. It means for the first day we show them how to visit the market, and then after a half day they are going by their own. So we don't have any contact, not with the client and not with the shops. So they buy alone. In Fez, in Essaouira, sometimes we are going together, but in Marrakesh, most of the time they are going by themselves.
Okay, great. Danny, since you're already here, there's a questions about personal visas for Israelis, or is now still groups visa entrance only? What do you know? What do you know to tell us about the visa procedure right now?
I owe Leslie because Leslie is doing the
Yeah.
visa. Yes,
Okay.
Leslie, and we don't know the future. Maybe in 1 month or 2 months, we can do it again in Tel Aviv. I can remember you that
Yes.
before we have done it in Tel Aviv, and later it's became more complicated. And Leslie can.
Yes, I think from 2003, wasn't it, from the Intifada? Before then, it was the liaison
Danny, your
office.
connection is a bit.
Yeah, from what I've understood, I had a phone call recently. There was a meeting apparently on Friday afternoon. And I think that what they're contemplating at the moment is that with the volume that will be coming in, that I don't think the liaison office could deal with it. So I think that there's a strong possibility that certain agencies like mine and a couple of the others who have high volume will probably still be able to do our own visas on the spot here. And the individual visas or small group visas will probably be done by the Bureau, the liaison office in Tel Aviv, yes. I understood at the moment that is what is being discussed. I think that might be the best solution because I know that the fact is that so much is done on last minute sales. I know, you know, in the past I've seen charters where a week before there were 60 empty seats and you know, getting the visas done at that last minute, it would be easier for us to do it on the spot rather than the liaison office. So, but I will keep Danny and yourself, Dina, up to date when I hear any more from the Ministry of Tourism as to what they've finally decided.
Okay.
But do you think there will be, because right now you need to wait for a few hours in the airport before you can leave the airport with the visa. Do you think it's going to change? Is the process is going to be easier for Israelis, or it doesn't matter?
I think that they're going to be doing everything to make things better. They've realized that you know, this is a market that was emerging anyway before Corona, and that it's a market that could be even more important to Morocco. And I think if they realize that, and I think they have, then I think it's in their interest to make it a lot easier. But to keep security, because obviously security is primordial coming from Israel. We're more aware of that, but I think that they're probably going to make things a little bit easier. Okay. It's in their interests.
As a tour guide, you may want to know that until now you spend a few hours in the airport, so you need to know when you plan your tour that you're going to spend a few hours in the airport. I'm very happy that it may change. Abdul, you with us? We have two questions here that you may be able to answer. One is our silent guides needed, local? And maybe, you know, to tell us about car rentals in Morocco. You're on mute. Wait, you're on mute. Abdul, we don't hear you.
Now.
Okay,
now. Yes. So the first question was?
About silent guide.
Silent?
Yeah, about local guide, if I understand correctly, about local guide that needs to be, does the local guide needs to be attached to a group?
Yes.
Yes. Of course, when you visit Morocco, special places, especially in Fez, for instance, you need like a local guide, but everywhere in the country, but mostly in Fez. It's not easy to do the tour without a local guide, especially when you do like the Medina. It's easy to get lost there. So you need like local guide, take you over, and to make it easy for you to go around and to organize even your timing. It's not that easy, especially when you go from one place to another with a big group, and you have to coordinate with the tour leader for, the timings of from the very beginning till the end. It's not that easy, especially in one day where you can see lots of things, and the schedule's so busy. First, you have to do. It's usually it takes you one whole day to do the tour. Start early in the morning. You do the Jewish quarter, which is really interesting, and it's a must to see. The Medina as well, the other sections, because in Fes you don't only go to the market like for shopping, you go to places where you can see how things are made, like the pottery, like the tanneries, like the metalwork area, like the weavers, and so on and so forth. So
but
this
is it mandatory? Is it
Yes.
also mandatory?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
it
Yes.
is.
That's right. Yes,
It's mandatory also in Marrakesh. Some
Yes.
places you cannot visit without a local guide.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
It's mandatory. Yes.
Yeah.
For the second part, I mean, for the second question about car rentals, I mean, it's it's very practical. I mean, and easy as well to get a car, varieties of cars. The prices vary. I would start from like 20, 30 euros a day, and you can find, I mean, your cars or rental car offices everywhere in cities, and you can do this in advance if you want to have your car or drive your own car. Like from Israel, you can do this in advance, but for individuals, of course, and you can do it on the spot when you get to the country. You can just contact anyone, and they can make it easy for you. So car rental is available every place and in every city.
Can I mention about car rental that actually most Israelis want automatic cars, and to get automatic cars, you're better to go through the larger companies like Europcar, Avis, etc., and all of the major car rental companies. The international car rental companies are present in Morocco, and they do now have automatic cars.
And it's easy to, okay, but that's not, that's less for a group. Okay. All right.
Dina, 1 minute. Dina, 1 minute. In my experience, it's easier and better to rent a car with a driver, like we have done it till now, because if you want to visit the old city, you have to leave the car. And so you have every time the driver in the car, and the driver is also like a guide. He can explain you, he can show you, he can bring you directly to the place, the highlight of the city. So it's better to take a car with a driver, and it's not expensive. It's not expensive.
Exactly.
And the driver with the local guide, they have a good connection. It means when the car is coming to Marrakesh or Fez, he's calling Abdu and tell we will be in Fez in 1 hour. Abdu will wait in the hotel or somewhere, and he will do the walking guide in the old city.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question that I will just read it.
A question, if possible.
Yeah, go ahead. I can read later more questions. Who wanted to ask?
Is it possible to speak?
Sure.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. Claude Sternberg speaking. Thank you a lot for all the experience guides that are guiding in Morocco. I just wanted to ask one question. We are not living in the moment in a Rosen garden, not healthily, not politically, not religiously. And I wanted to know if actually Israeli people are welcome there, or is there difficult?
Yeah.
Yes.
Most welcome.
Mostly welcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Not welcome. Most welcome.
It's like home. It's like home for Israelis. Yes.
Okay.
It comes from the top. I think the king has shown the example with the restoration of the synagogues and the cemeteries, and putting the street names back to the old Jewish names, the Mellers, and it's actually shown the example. But most people grew up with very, very happy memories of their next door neighbors and the kids that they used to play with, who were all Jewish, their children. And I think Danny, as he's walking around with his groups, will find nothing but warmth and hospitality from people around.
If I may just say, I was just amazed because I think that if I am working in London, in Oxford Street, and in some streets in other places in Europe, I try to speak English, or definitely not to speak Hebrew, or not to walk with clothes with, I don't know, Hebrew words on it. And in Morocco, everybody knows you're an Israeli. You can speak as loud as you want, and you feel very, very, very safe. Not only because you have a lot of police officers on the streets all the time, you just feel that they want you there, and they love you, and they just it really is amazing. It's a unique experience for an Israeli to definitely in an Arab country, but not even in other countries.
We are brother. We are brother.
Nahon.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We are brother. Yes. Not tourists, we are brothers, the same family.
And someone asked about the language, which is also an interesting. Will it be able to speak local, or the Tahaj is too different? I guess you would understand the question. Does one who speaks Arabic will be able to speak to the local, or the Tahaj is too different? Okay.
Not Tahaj,
Lahaj, sorry. Lahaj. So, Said, you're answering that?
Yeah, no problem. No, it's, I mean, when the locals hear someone speaking in their own lahja or dialect, they appreciate it. Because they love people, even when they make mistake, they know that it's not their own language.
But if you speak Arabic, can you understand?
Yeah, they can understand. Yeah.
Okay, I think this was the question.
Yeah, that was the meaning. That whether if you speak, I mean, Palestinian Arabic, will you be able to understand the locals over there?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to add something about the other dialects, or the other like forms of Arabic spoken in other Arab countries. Moroccans understand other languages or other forms of Arab language, Palestinian, Egyptian, Gulf, or whatever. But it's easy for us to understand them, but it's hard for them to understand ours. So this is the thing. So Moroccans understand. Yes, they can speak different languages and different dialects as well.
Okay, and there's a question, interesting question. I don't know if you will know how to answer that, but the question is, are Moroccans interested to visit Israel, and in which languages?
Oh,
yes.
They all want to go.
There's a yes.
Okay, is there a market for that?
All of my office wants to go. They've worked for years and years with Israelis. They all want to go to Israel. Every time I go with my suitcase, they're so jealous. I know.
But you feel there is a market for that, for outgoing from? You do.
Yes.
I'm guessing this.
Yes.
Okay, great. So someone asked about the copy of the recording. Of course, we will have it, and we can send it to whoever wants. Any other questions anyone wants to ask out loud? Just unmute yourself if you do.
Another language question. How much the French is still used in Morocco?
Oh, a lot. I don't speak Arabic. I speak French and English all the time. I don't actually speak Arabic, so I have no problems at all with French.
Good to know. Très bien. Je suis très heureux.
Moi aussi.
More questions?
What about the coronavirus situation in Morocco?
It's a red country.
I think Leslie already answered that, but someone asked if you have any idea if the tourists are vaccinated, would they be able to go into Morocco? Any idea?
This is something, I'm a member of an association, and we've been asking the same question. Normally we're asking for a negative PCR, and we're actually trying to get an answer from the government about whether, if people now come in with the passport, with the vaccination passport, whether that will cancel out the need for the PCR. Logically, it must do, but we're just waiting for the official okay on that.
Okay, I want to ask another question that somehow nobody asked this time. It's about the food, about kosher food options for, yeah.
I'll answer that if you like, because I do kosher tours, Danny knows.
Yeah.
I can tell you now that in Casablanca, Rabat, Tangiers, Meknes, Fez, Marrakesh, Agadir, we can actually get kosher food. It's done by the communities, or in Casablanca, there are actual restaurants, and it is kosher. Glatt kosher is a little bit more difficult, but we can handle it. What we do is there is a possibility also for kosher groups to have a cook. We have a lot of kosher cooks now in Morocco. It's possibly girls that have worked for Jewish families in Morocco and have been taught kosher cooking. And we have dishes. I have a kitchen full of great big cooking pots and plates and everything you need, and they actually take this around with them and they cook. The hotels put aside areas, either areas within the kitchens, or they have specific kitchens set aside for kosher cooking. So even in the south of Morocco, if there's a cook there, then that's fine. If not, what happens is we order fish well in advance and vegetarian, and actually the fish is cooked in foil. The tour leaders oversee the cooking. Nothing is touched until the tour leader gets there, and they can actually cater even in the south of Morocco for kosher.
Great.
The hotels are very accommodating, so, which is the main thing.
Almudena, you are all welcome in Israel. I'm not sure you will find an Israeli here because I think we will all be outside of Israel, but you are more than welcome.
We'll change places.
Exchange.
Okay, anything that any of you wants to say, like something that you think you didn't say or we missed and it's important for you to mention? Leslie, Abdul, Said, or Danny? We're good? Okay, so thank you very much, guys. It was really wonderful. I can't wait to go back. If you want, thank you, Claude. If you want to register to the educational, please send something to any of us. I have to say that we just published it internally like 2 days ago, and it's already have a very large list. Of course, we will publish the details when we'll have them. And yes, we will send the recording to whoever asked. Jonathan, I hope you have the lists that people wrote here in the chat. Yeah. Okay, so we will send it. Maybe we'll also publish it on the group. And GetGuide, if any one of you didn't write their name and their occupation, we will be very happy if you do. We have something that we think may interest you, but just for the relevant people, we don't want to publish everything to everyone if it's not relevant.
Can I actually mention something that I think we have missed, is that there is also the opportunity for adventure travel in Morocco. You saw the fabulous mountains that we have. There's also trekking, hiking. We do 7-day bivouac tours as well as just 1-day tours. We can actually do motorbike tours, cycling tours. The variety, again, I come back to the contrast of Morocco and the variety that there is on the spot for everybody to do. I realized we hadn't actually talked about the adventure travel side of Morocco.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll see you soon.
Thank
you very much. Big kiss to everyone, and thank you.
Okay, thank
you. Those visiting the lovely Morocco.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.